What aspects of NCJW work do you think have left the largest impact?
I can't even begin to start there. They've done a lot.
Right.
They've been involved, and they get involved, whether it's a Jewish thing or a non-Jewish thing, it doesn't matter. It was a matter of whether it needed help or, anything we could do to make things work, we did.
I think that NCJW does so much good in the community in so many ways. And I've always been proud to be a member of NCJW. I think part of everything that all the committees and projects and everything like that has always been wonderful. I mean, the women that are involved in this are incredible, and they're hardworking women, and it's been a privilege.
I've always respected what this organization does. I think they were ahead of their time in many ways. I cared about the way they thought about introducing women to the work field, and they were pioneers in many things. Before I was involved in the organization, I loved the fact that they were interested in what was going on in our community and the needs of the community and the needs of the world at large.
I've met some of the most amazing women from NCJW, people who really aren't always in the limelight, aren't maybe not, someone everyone knows in the community, but people who just have such big hearts and who are working towards whatever good they can kind of give out into the world. And it's really powerful to be in groups like that.
And this again is what happens to NCJW. We initiate programs, they're just wonderful, but we don't always have the finances or even the human resources to make it get bigger, and other groups take it over, and that's okay. But it's very hard to do PR on something that doesn't sustain itself. It is so multifaceted, which is what has been stimulating to me all these years.
The camaraderie and doing something for the universe. And that was my goal, and I achieved that.
Well, it gives me a voice, it gives me a community, and it gives me a lot of opportunities in anything that I would want to do.
In many cities, including Denver, NCJW work was the entree to work in the broader community, and women, Jewish women, through their NCJW affiliation, were viewed as Jewish women within the broader community.
You can find something to do for your community. You can do it well, you can do it often, you can do it as long as you want, and you'll see other people's eyes light up, and have fun with whatever it is you want to do.
You can do as much as you want. If now's not the time for you to, go to every activity, that's fine.
Oh, it's been huge because, I've made good friends with so many of the members.
And I just feel that National Council of Jewish Women is probably the most important organization, not only for Jewish women, but for all women, because they don't only concern themselves with Jewish issues. They're working for all women and people.
It was really interesting because you got to meet other people from other sections who were involved usually in many of the same things. And so you received a lot of help from them, and you were able to give them information that helped them also on the issues that we were dealing with.
Council had so much energy and gravitas.
To me, National Council of Jewish Women is where I do Jewish. It is where I come to live out my personal values, my spiritual values, my moral values. And to me, it is a really special and unique space where I get to show up fully as myself and give back to a community I love.
And in terms of your own life, what would you say the difference that NCJW has made in your life, looking back over your so many decades of involvement?
Well, I don't know. It's just always been something I've always done, but I would say the traveling theater has been the most fun because not only did I get involved there, I had my own theater and I was producer at the Aladdin Theater. So, I mean, it's always been partly theater.
To watch children when you're on a stage, reacting and responding, there's nothing like it. And I would say every phase of National Council of Jewish Women offers that. And that's what I love the most.
I joined Children's Traveling Theater, and I was a member of Children's Traveling Theater for nearly 12 years.
And so you were an actress?
Yes, it was a lot of fun. And my favorite role was Dopey.
Tell us about that.
Children loved Dopey because Dopey was so funny. So it was really a fun role.
It was just fun to make them laugh.
It was definitely fun to make them laugh.
Great.
And there was another time that the wicked old witch didn't show up. You know, she was running late or something. And so I was at the piano and I played Ding Dong, the witch is dead. And then I ran up on the stage, put on the cape and the hat, and I go, surrender, Dorothy. And then I went back down to the piano.
Oh, no. So you had to be quick on your feet.
Right, and I was quick on my feet then.
That's great.
I started running the bargain corner, and that was what I felt was most important because it made the money that made everything else function.
Bargain Corner was used clothes, and we had a program called Dress for Less, and women who were going to the workplace, we would bring them down to the Bargain Corner and give them clothes that they could use to go to their jobs, because most of them didn't have anything that was very useful for a job. So we were able to help them in that respect.
Fall Fashion Review, the designer sale, which was separate from Bargain Corner. And people lined up. You can't believe the hundreds of people waiting for the doors to open for that sale, Fall Fashion Review. Council bought the first 4 buses, 4 for Denver Mobility, because we made enough money to do that. And Denver Mobility started because we started Call a Cab, because I saw that seniors had no transportation.
So tell us about how you got involved with NCJW.
Well, when I went out on my own, I knew I wanted to get involved in the community, and NCJW represents issues that really mattered to me. And it was somewhere that you weren't just having lunch with ladies, you were actually rolling up your sleeves and getting stuff done.
There were so many things we were working for to make life better for women. And the abortion issue was huge in NCJW, and the Hyde Amendment, which we're still fighting. We've never gotten rid of that. And that was, you remember what that is. That was when there couldn't be any federal funds for low income for abortion. That's it. We've never gotten rid of that. So that was the issue then, and it's still an issue. It was all things to just make the community better. All of these things that we were working in with other people kept evolving. So it was a very, very satisfying time to be in an organization like NCJW.
And when I first came to NCJW, I couldn't believe it, because I'd always any volunteer thing I had done had been more philanthropy based. And this was like community, like roll up your sleeves, grassroots, like do it yourself kind of projects, like sing along at the nursing home, or going to meet with legislators directly. The JCRC evolved more into that as well. I couldn't believe all the opportunity that was there to help with women, children, families, equality, justice. I was like, this is for me.
And I know that working with them, we get real things done. And that's one of the things I liked about it most, compared to some other organizations. It's very hands-on. And you want to do something, you just dig in and do it. I also know that the things we make happen really do matter to the people that we serve, and that's very gratifying.
I like to be a doer, like the women of National Council of Jewish Women, to do things for the community and also support the community.
What impact do you think NCJW has had on the community?
For me, it seemed like we were right in the center of things. I think our candidates forum, which was back when we were doing it, there were no other sponsors. That was strictly an NCJW event.
We had programs with the officials in the city that we invited, and it was both Republican and Democratic people, and they would speak, and the community would come.
The local candidates, we would have tables set up with their information, and you could go around and meet them and talk to them. Usually the actual candidates forum were like people running for mayor or Congress.
We went back to the way it had been before with advocacy. We've started our day at the Capitol again, and we really worked hard in the last 2 years of my term to pass bills on reproductive rights, gun violence, and just equitable justice and homeless issues.
I'm really proud of the Reproductive Healthcare Equity Act. Very proud. We worked really hard to get that passed. We worked on all the gun violence prevention stuff, and also economic justice. So getting menstrual products into the high schools was a big one. Don't tax dignity, where we don't tax menstrual products or briefs, adult, baby briefs. These are things that make a change in people's lives every day.
So tell me about scholarships a little bit then.
Scholarship was very dear to me, and it still is. I revamped the scholarship agenda. I moved it from a luncheon to afternoon tea, so husbands and grandparents and whoever worked could attend, and I think that was very well received. And the donors, I mean, they were the most generous, wonderful people, and it was just a highlight every year when we did the tea to recognize all these young ladies and recognize the donors for how generous and giving they are.
So to have this group support me as I return to school to get my master's in social work is so meaningful. What I hope to do in my career, this organization exemplifies and embodies community work, community service, advocacy work for the voiceless and the in need. All those actions are really meaningful to me and important to me, and to partner with this organization makes it all the more meaningful and impactful, and for the support to have mentors from this organization as I begin this journey is so inspiring and helpful.
It means that I have the opportunity to pursue an education, which is really important to me, especially because it's something that my parents didn't have the luxury to do, and I do, and I'm excited about it, and it's really important to me just because of my value system and how I see the world. I think that in order to be a contributing member of society, I need a good education.
I think it's special to have a group of women behind me who are there to talk and also are able to make this experience possible for me. Just knowing that I'm able to get that help and assistance from people who are so close to my heart and who share my religion and my culture with me, it means a lot.
We adopted a school up in Westminster, Sunset Ridge Elementary, and we started with them by just providing supplies for the teachers, because every teacher has to dig into their own pocket, and this was a way that we could put things in their classroom. That's evolved over time now, while I was community service, to include a drive for backpacks. So now we fill 100 backpacks a year for students that can't buy their own supplies.
When you see children who didn't have school supplies and felt bad that they weren't getting what everybody else was getting, end up getting this beautiful backpack filled with everything they could possibly need for a successful school year, that's a very gratifying sensation.
Well, that was always a priority. You know, children, women and children, that's still the priorities. But we always went in the areas in which the need was greatest, in those particular areas.
I'm a principal of a school, a PK-8 school in Westminster Public Schools,
And the National Council of Jewish Women contacted me about 7 years ago, asking to partner with us in lots of different ways. They've provided over the last 7 or 8 years multiple carloads of backpacks, school supplies, headphones, books. They've been very, very generous to our school community and our students.
The preschool programs in Colorado to have all children be able to have a fair start to education with some of the legislation that's been done in Colorado with preschool programs. That was really important.
Windows on Daycare, they were preparing this document in Congress, and we supplied, we meaning all over the country, we were doing research then about all the great needs. So it would go into this document so that they would then enact legislation that would make things that we could see were needed possible.
When the Soviet Jews came to Denver, you were involved?
Yes. National Council of Jewish Women worked very closely at that time with Jewish Family Service in resettling the immigrants who came in. And we helped, clothe them, we helped find them somewhere to live and food, etc.
Well, in my generation, of course, it would different than the generation I saw above me, which is my mother's generation, where they were meeting all the Holocaust survivors at the train and bringing them home for dinner. So
I want to hear about that.
Yeah, well, that's what of course, we were school children. I was a schoolgirl, but I recall that women went and found an apartment and they staffed it or filled it, with all the utensils you needed to cook with and whatever. And they met them at the train and brought them home and started them. And I remember my father would give them cash so they'd have some money to take, because he didn't know what council gave them money. He didn't know, and they didn't actually. And so they ate at our house a lot. I remember that.
National Council of Jewish Women helped resettle all of the refugees that we have in many of the refugees that we have in Denver, and not just Jewish refugees, because we were part and parcel of a collective. We worked with Asian Pacific, we worked with Catholic Charities, Jewish Family Service. All these organizations came together to resettle refugees.
With waves of immigrants coming in, this is our natural habitat, is working and helping. We worked and helped with Russians in the 70s and 80s. We helped with the Vietnamese boat lift people in the 70s. We have helped with thousands of different kinds of migratory waves throughout this country.
I am really proud of what we've been able to do to help women and children in the community. I helped us put a trip together, and we went to the border in May. We met a family that was in the shelter in Juarez. We went to El Paso and Juarez, and they are now settled here in Colorado, and we've been helping that family since June.
One of the things I'm really proud of too is that we started a program called Ask the Doctor. I did that as community service vice president, but we continued in, it's grown, and it's a wonderful way to help educate women on different things concerning health and wellness, because I believe that's so important that before we can help others, to make sure that we're in a good spot.
They definitely had a focus, again, on women's and children's rights, and stood up for that and participated. They were very actively involved in standing up and testifying.
National Council of Jewish Women stays in touch with what is happening first locally and then nationally, and then asks the right questions, and then learns how to lobby their elected leaders on issues that are important not just to Jewish women, but to women of people of color, of different nationalities. We're into refugee resettlement.
I mean, obviously children and family issues were a big thing that National Council of Jewish Women that we worked on down at the legislature.
We have a very strong advocacy department working on reproductive rights, gun violence prevention. And right now our other main topic is economic justice, which I think dovetails into social justice as well.
National Council of Jewish Women covered all the areas from my perspective that is so dedicated and committed to people's rights and freedoms.